Luis Alvarez, CEO of the Alvarez Technology Group, joining us right now. Luis, welcome back to the program.
Thank you, Mark. How are you doing today?
Doing pretty good. As we look at the results of the election last week, California propositions, the big one that a lot of folks are paying attention to was Prop 22. That was a repeal of portions of AB 5, which basically took square aim at the emerging gig economy, and the effort to repeal those portions of AB 5 was led by the ride-hailing industry, right? There was Lyft and Uber, and then, of course, DoorDash?
Yeah, Grubhub. They all kind of fall into the same category of providing jobs for gig drivers, most of whom, by the way, do this in addition to whatever full-time job they have or part-time job they have. It's not a significant number of these drivers that are doing this just as their sole occupation.
Right.
And that was the argument that a lot of the supporters of this measure had, which was, look, this is not a taxi service. This is not somebody's being forced to do. They volunteer to work. They have control of the hours that they work. You know, they can say that they're on shift or off shift, and they have a lot of freedom. So calling them employees is really a burden on the companies that are trying to create a new way for people to have jobs. And when California a few years ago passed a law that reclassified everybody in the gig economy basically as an employee with certain carve-outs for certain industries, the ride-sharing companies all got together and said, look, we're going to put a proposition on the ballot, and we're going to let the people of California decide, not just the legislator. And it turns out that the people of California still want their Ubers and Lyfts.
Yes.
And if this law had not been overturned, that this would in fact result in these companies basically leaving the state because their business model really didn't allow for them to have employees.
And of course, if it had succeeded in California, you know that in a lot of states across the country, they would do the same thing. And essentially, Uber and Lyft and Grubhub and so forth would have been put out of business in probably half the country. So glad to see the voters, Luis, by a more than 2-to-1 margin, rejected AB 5, and they voted yes in favor of Prop 22.
And this will set us the model for the rest of the country because a lot of other states are looking at doing something like AB 5, and now they know that if they do, they're going to run into this buzzsaw that is a ride-sharing company, so they'll probably compromise.
Luis Alvarez, CEO of the Alvarez Technology Group, joining us here on Power Talk Radio, online, alvareztg.com, @AlvarezTG. That's the Twitter handle. Luis, the toll-free number for the I-Team.
Give us a call at 866-78-I-Team. That's 866-784-8326.